The NZ-41 finally got the buff it desperately needed to make it the #1 weapon currently within Warzone for long range. I'm going to show you a couple of clips to kind of explain exactly what's happening and what makes it so broken. So these were the recent patch notes. They went and slightly nerfed the STG, but the NZ-41 got a max damage decrease, which is the close range damage to 37 from 40. That's a slight nerf to the close range, but that's not really where you're going to use this weapon. You're going to use it in the mid damage range, which is the far damage range, and that got bumped up to 34, up from 32. They also went ahead and changed the recoil deviation and how it shakes, recoil intensity, muzzle velocity increase, so that's going to already make it so that you're able to hit a little bit further shots. And then we have the Clouser 40 round mag, which is the damage range penalty, and then the Sakura got a damage penalty has been removed. Before, it used to make it even worse, so it made it a little bit hard to compete with the TTKs. Then they had a fire scalar decrease to 5%, down from 12%, and that's just kind of how it multiplied against the fire rate. So it went from a 12% increase to down to a 5. So if we look at it here in the gameplay, there's a toggle to take it from burst to full auto. Usually, if you look at the Itra burst, I went and double checked just to make sure it wasn't changed over there, but if you look at the Itra burst, you can change it from burst to single fire, and most of the weapons in the game, you can go from full auto to single fire. In the most part, it's really not one of those things that almost ever gets used, just because it's usually not all that practical. So what this does, it still allows you to maintain that burst rate of fire without the burst delay in between the bursts, which is kind of what kills the overall TTK. So in this particular case, I was able to go up against a wall, and you can see it right here. I'm going to shoot this wall, I'm going to fire the entire mag, and then pretty much I time that out, and you still get 580 RPM. This is without controlling the recoil. So you can kind of see there's not really much recoil. Even when we kind of look at it, it just goes slightly up. And with that recoil pattern, you're going to be able to laser this gun. As you can see, only even with 41 bullets, but you can see that if you're trying to recontrol the recoil, it's relatively easy. And you're like, well, that's just a wall at 10 meters. Well, this is with the 2.5 optic, and you're going to go ahead and see me beam this dude from really far away. Obviously, I'd have better zoom, but you can kind of see that there. And we'll go ahead and kind of look at where the TT fits. The damage per mag, they definitely made this thing one of the best weapons in the entire game. So here's a current build of the STG versus the NZ full auto meta builds, and this one even includes Vital, which I don't even normally recommend, but the normal TTK that you're going to get on an STG is right around 940. It has a decent fire rate of 638, which is decent, but nothing crazy. And then we have a decent bullet velocity, 1466. Damage per mag is pretty important though, at 1590 with that particular meta build. When we compare that, we do have a little bit slower fire rate of 580, which if you think about it, the AK-47 had 600 RPM. So this is negligible difference slower. So if you ever use the AK-47, but felt like it had a lot of recoil, this fits in, right? Because usually the lower the fire rate, the higher the damage to account for that. But this doesn't account for a burst delay because it doesn't exist. Normally you'd get 580 with burst delay, it would bring it down to like 3 something, and it just wouldn't be that practical. Damage per mag is over 2,000. You're more than likely going to get an 828 TTK. And if you get one neck shot, you're going to lower that to 724. So you're going to be deleting people at infinite range. The bullet velocity isn't anything amazing, but this is just kind of a comparison of how fast this thing melts, but it's easy to use. So you're likely to not miss shots, especially when people are a lot closer. Like you saw in that clip, I was beaming people at 180 meters, which is just insane. The overall build I was using in that particular clip on this NZ-41 is going to be the MX silencer with this burst barrel. Make sure you toggle it to full auto. As you can see there's a little thing there, burst fire toggle, which is unique to this weapon. And then that'll still allow you to have a little bit better damage range, controllable, all that stuff. And it's not going to hurt your bullet velocity like some of the other options. On top of that, you're going to be able to use the Sakura rounds, which give you the faster fire rate, and that kind of allows it to be a little bit more viable. We're using the hand stop foregrip. There are other ones if you want to work with the Carver, Strife Angled, and maybe it doesn't bother you at all. You want faster aim down sight, go with the skeletal. I was using the hand stop in those clips. And then we got the lengthen, which obviously is going to help with bullet velocity, brace to help with any kind of initial recoil. And then we got hatch grip, which helps with the horizontal, which is kind of what the main issue with this weapon. Vertical is almost nothing. And then we saw that It's just a little bit of horizontal, especially with this individual build. Fully loaded, but you could use something like on hand for slightly faster aim down sight. If you need to level it, you can rock surplus, but in general, I'm gonna rock fully loaded. And then I'm using the Orb Weaver E-Pack, which is gonna help with recoil control, recoil recovery, accuracy, and flinch resistance at the negatives that are usually used for like SMGs or close quarters. And then I'm using the 2.5x because that was on Rebirth, but normally you would use the 3 to 6x to kind of accommodate for that, but it really just depends. Have fun. I think a blueprint's coming. Why else would they upgrade it? We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.